Meanwhile...
Ridiculous. Is it truly possible that you all believe in Father's legend of the gold? The story about a witch who gave him the gold and so forth, we obviously don't believe. However, there's no mistake about the gold.
Multiple sources have confirmed the fact that Father was in possession of gold bars from an unknown source. We heard that before the Maruso family president, the Marusu company president died, Father showed him a large amount of gold somewhere. Father stated clearly to him that there were 10 tons worth.
That's just nonsense of a senile old man. Along with Father, he was just fabricating a story. You can't take it seriously. If that gold didn't exist, he wouldn't have been able to gather so much funding. Before the president died, he was the person whose sincere personality gathered a lot of respect from many a person in the business world. He wouldn't have become such a partner to such a fraud. Aniki, the president of Marusu definitely saw it. 10 tons of it, clearly with his own eyes. Even more, Dad let the president take 1 ingot at random and have it examined. The results of the examination showed that the 10-kilogram ingot had purity of 4 nines, of 99.99%. He said that the Ushidamiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, was carved into it.
Almost instantly, the Ushidamiya legend of the gold spread amongst the fixers of the business world. Gold from an unknown foundry has a poor rate of conversion into money. Thinking that it was a chance for decisive profits, they accepted it as collateral, and as a result, Father was able to receive a giant loan.
This is the most ridiculous nonsense I've ever heard. How old are you people? Are you still taking that fairy tale you heard as a kid at face value? Where is the proof that this 10 tons of gold even exists? Isn't it just the lies of Father and those who are closest to him? Of course it's just a story. But still, Aniki, the amount of money that Dad raised required a suitable quantity of collateral. Even if the gold was just a rumor, then he must have shown them a treasure of comparable worth as an unmistakable truth, don't you think? It's just a fiction of gold created by our penniless father. He made it seem that non-existent gold actually existed and fooled his sponsors. It was probably a gamble of a lifetime. Fortunately, his use of those funds proved successful. If the Korean War demands hadn't come in and the Ushidamiya family had not been restored, Father probably would have been hounded after as the crook of the century. In that case, are you saying that the gold never existed? And that Father made it all up? Of course. Therefore, after he had become sufficiently successful, the fiction of the gold was nothing but an inconvenience. So Father made up that absurd story about the witch and black magic and made the whole thing seem less believable. In other words, he revealed that the gold was a complete fiction. If he says that he received gold from a witch, no one would believe that it exists at all, right? He may even have said that for all your sakes. Nevertheless, some stupid offspring wanting to divide up this non-existent gold with the rest of the inheritance have appeared. Rosa, don't tell me that even you believe in this kind of fabrication.
I can't prove whether or not Father really has the gold. However, as one of Father's 4 children, I just want to claim my rightful share.
Oh, it seems even Rosa has learned to assert herself. Alright, maybe this is what you all want to say. That I am trying to keep all of the gold to myself.
Nisa, the fact is that you've obtained a massive amount of funding. If we rule out the possibility that you've been embezzling Father's personal funds, then there's only one possibility left, right?
Aniki, maybe you have already found the 10 tons of gold bars. It sure looks that way to us. Ridiculous. Something like that never existed in the first place.
Then explain yourself. Embezzlement of Father's assets, Father's hidden gold. How could you have gathered so much funding if you didn't use one of those?
I also have many friends in the political world and the financial world. I have done nothing more than gain their assistance. And as for that, I have no responsibility to explain it to you. You understand, don't you? There are some topics that can't be talked about. If that's the story you insist on, then fine. But Aniki, Dad doesn't have long. Nobody can ensure that he will live to see this day next year. When Dad dies, the inheritance will be passed on immediately. We will all set up impartial lawyers and accountants to inspect the state of Dad's finances.
If, at the time, the fact that our brother has unjustly interfered with Father's money comes to light, you understand, right?
I don't have a clue what you're talking about. You're starting to make me feel as indignant as my wife was. Father's gold is definitely one of Father's assets. I understand it's money you can't reveal openly. Even so, the 4 siblings should have an equal right to it. In short, we will also have your financial situation investigated to determine whether or not you are hoarding the gold.
You have good opportunity right now. Prove the existence of this backup from friends and acquaintances that you mentioned. That way, you will be spotless. And we can sportingly apologize for foolishly doubting you. Right, Rosa? That's right. Krasny-san, you're the one who's avoiding the topic. If you were guiltless, you could just prove that you were in the right, yet you aren't even trying to respond.
However, Aniki, we still have to consider your positioning. As Dad's representative, you're probably bearing a larger share of the burden than we. It wouldn't be fair for the rest of us, who have been living terribly relaxed lives until now, to complain without taking that into account. Oh. I'm spoken ill of one moment and flattered the next. It's quite tiring. Please get to the point. In short, randomly investigating nitpicky aspects of Father's wealth seems a pretty darn boorish way to do it. As you said, Krasny-san, you've probably got movements of money that are difficult to explain. We understand that, and that's why we've come to consult you. A mutually beneficial consultation. Consultation? When the inheritance is distributed, you will be rewarded for your years of hard work taking care of Dad by an agreement that is generous in your favor.
Don't misunderstand us. It's not like we're saying that we will abandon our rights. It's just that when we claim what we deserve, it wouldn't be bad if there was a generous understanding of your position, if that's what we mean.
In other words, if you'll accept our conditions, at the time of the division of the inheritance, we won't mind leaving the investigation of Father's financial status to you, Krasny-san.
All of the siblings, from Eva downward, suspected that Kraus was trying to steal their father's wealth. In that situation, letting Kraus report on the state of their father's wealth by himself was extremely contradictory and a huge concession. If, as they claimed, Kraus was actually embezzling money, Kraus would be able to hide that fact. Besides that, it would also be possible for him to control the distribution of the inheritance in a manner favorable to himself. Kraus, also realizing that this sounded too good to be true, couldn't help but feel doubt. He had to worry about what they would ask in return for such compromise.
Oh. After mistrusting me completely, you now say that you are willing to restore your confidence in me as the eldest sibling? And what are you asking? Just what we deserve as siblings. You aren't the kind of person who would steal Dad's property. However, there is no patron financing. Considering all that, there is a certain explanation that would satisfy the rest of us.
Nissan, you found the 10 tons of gold and used that as collateral to gather some funding. Yes, just like Father did in the past, right?
If that's the case, there won't be any funny bits in Father's finances. You've always been a good son looking after Father. Why would we mistrust a person like that? You're being so roundabout, I can barely understand you. Say it more clearly and specifically. Our first condition. Aniki, you must admit you have found Dad's gold. Are you asking me to admit that I possess a gold that does not exist?
Our second condition? recognize our rights to a share of the gold and pay it to us.
How foolish. With the non-existent 2 billion yen of gold, that would be 5 billion yen per person. Are you telling me to pay a total of 15 billion yen? Preposterous.
Well, keep listening to the end. We know that much money can't just appear out of nowhere. We're not asking you to make an impossible deal. Of course, regarding the portions of the gold, we plan to reward you sufficiently for your hard work until now in our calculations. Our third condition, the portion of the gold to be the one bearing the title of successor to the Ushidamiya main family will be 50%. The remainder will be split fairly between all the siblings. Of course, this includes you, Krasni-san.
Of the 20 billion, 2.5 billion will go to Haneki. 12.5 billion will go to Haneki. 2.5 billion will go to Eva-ne-san. 2.5 billion will go to me. And 2.5 will go to Rosa. A distribution that makes me so grateful I could cry. So you're saying, for the sake of gold that doesn't exist, I must pay you 7.5 billion.
What's wrong? Nissan, your share is 5 times the size of ours. That's such a good condition, I'd be jumping for joy.
Our fourth condition. The dividends will be paid out along with the distribution of the inheritance at the time of Dad's death. However, as deposit, 10% of our portions will be paid to us promptly. The payment must be made before March of next year. What do you think, Krasni-san? It's an ideal chance for you to restore the trust you need to run Father's assets, isn't it? Of course, it might be impossible to get a whole 7.5 billion before Father dies. However, you can't say you couldn't manage a deposit of 750 mil, right? Paying 700 million and a half a year might be slightly bothersome. But someone like you, who has many friends in the political and business spheres, should be able to manage it.
Normally, I'd hope to receive the 7.5 billion right now, all at once. But out of concern for your position, if you'll just show your sincerity by delivering 10% for the time being, it's alright to let the remaining 90% carry over into the distribution of the inheritance. Right? Surely, even you can offer a mere 10% to show your sincerity.
So, the right to investigate the status of Father's assets is being sold to me for 750 million. Isn't that great? You all sure have grown. I never thought all of you would be capable of offering a deal to me.
Nissan, if you accept these, the rest of his siblings will leave the investigation of Father's assets to you. However, the results of that investigation will be subject to appeal. It's only natural, right? You'd be sad if you adjusted our portions downwards by 7.5 billion.
As a general rule, we wouldn't complain. As long as you do it neatly, it's fine. As long as you don't do anything significantly obvious, we don't plan to aggravate anything. We want the inheritance as quickly as much as you do. We don't want it to get all drawn out and led astray. In the case of an appeal, who would do the second investigation?
That can be as well. This will probably be the first and last opportunity for us siblings to discuss this. I trust you not to let it come to that. Rosa, you really can talk sometimes. That Kraus was not trusted whatsoever as the oldest sibling was by now so obvious that it requires no explanation. The formerly tyrannical oldest brother would always abuse his privileges and infringe upon the other siblings' shares. In response to that, the other three, now adults, were for the first time striking back at him by working together.
I'm sorry, but there are further conditions. Our fifth condition. This decision must take precedence over Father's will. Later on, we don't want some will to appear and make this decision completely useless. I see that you're very cautious. Then let me ask, if the gold really were found, what would you do? As long as you settle this matter with a corresponding payment, then whether the gold really appears or not makes no difference to us. You can think of our share as an advance payment. Gives you something to live for! You plan to turn this island into a resort, right? During construction, you might stumble upon the gold by chance. Eva let out a high-pitched laugh. Kraus watched without even flinching. Let me add a 7th condition before I accept. In the situation that any sibling other than myself finds the gold, they will immediately turn it over to me. Yes, of course, we'll guarantee you that. Insignificant details. The others, who were forcing Kraus to pay money for some non-existent gold, would of course not insure Kraus's portion if they actually found the gold. From the beginning, this deal had been nothing more than a threat directed at Kraus. While the truth might be different, the probability that Kraus was embezzling Father's assets was extremely high. When at last Kinzo faced death and it came time for the inheritance to be distributed, surely some unpleasant facts would come into light. The situation would likely be a fatal wound to Kraus. They had latched onto that weak point and were threatening their brother under the veil of compromise, trying to wring out a huge sum of money. However, they had let one thing slip their minds. The 3 of them had forgotten that their oldest sibling, who they couldn't defeat unless they banded together, was a very nimble thinker when it came to being crafty. Kraus relaxedly let out a gloating laugh as he spoke to Eva, who could not hide her smile, so certain she was of her victory. This all sounds marvelous to me. I had been feeling a deep pain in my heart at my estrangement from the rest of you. If, by accepting these conditions, I could make our sibling relationship friendly once again, I would be quite pleased. I would gladly take you up on your offer. Be happy, Rosa. We have a deal. Rosa's expression dimmed. When her brother started talking like this, the conversation would never change for the better. Eva was also sensitive enough to realize this. Therefore, even though Kraus had obediently accepted the deal, she was unable to wipe away her feeling of insecurity. My, how obedient! That's not like you, Nissan. That's harsh. You think I have an ulterior motive? Of course I don't. I'm just like all of you. I'm just like all of you. It felt as though only that part was emphasized. The color of Rudolph's face darkened. I have a plan, just like all of you. That's what it sounded like to him. That gave him a sense of urgency. Trying to bring up this near-finished discussion to a conclusion, he rushed to wrap it up. Then we are good. So, Aniki, would you mind signing here? This is a written contract containing the discussion we've been having. There's one for each person. Everyone will sign for the same contents. Rudolph took out 4 written contracts out of his breast pocket that had the details of their deal written on them. Of course, we'll also add the 7th condition that you proposed straight away. Don't worry. Aniki, will you use a pen? Rudolph took a fountain pen out of his breast pocket and offered it to Kraus. Kraus made as if to accept it, but then, with a small laugh, drew back his hand without taking it and spoke. Actually, in order to make sure this agreement is definitely effective, I would like to propose a single amendment. When Kraus said that one sentence, all of the siblings felt at the same time as though something annoying was creeping up their backs. That won't do. We've already decided, haven't we? Be quiet and sign it. Eva, why are you so impatient? Of course I will sign.
I'll promise you all your share of the gold, 7.5 billion yen. I also promise that when father's inheritance is distributed, I will cleanly and neatly liquidate it. However, there is just one point on which I must ask you to compromise.
What are you talking about? What point don't you like?
The part about promptly paying 10% of each portion, 750 million yen. As you pointed out, my financial situation is not prosperous. While I am guaranteed to definitely collect on various future investments, at this time I have no choice but to admit that I am very poor. In short, I absolutely have no money that I can move around right now. I am incompetent, and my business skills are dull. An unfortunate, such as me, to use your words, has no power to move 750 million in just half a year. That can't be true. Are you trying to deceive us with offhand remarks? At the time of the division of the inheritance, I will liquidate everything at once. Remove the condition that I must pay you 10% in advance. That is all you have to do to get me to sign. Krause-san, that 10% is nothing more than a number to measure your sincerity, isn't it? Strictly speaking, we shouldn't have even be making you a deal in the first place. We'd be doing you a huge favor by offering to let things slide for just 10% of good faith. We explained it all to you, so don't you think rejecting that part damages our trust and relationship a little? Hideyoshi had a humble expression on his face and had his hands clasped together, but his eyes were not calm at all. Krause had already seen through the shadow in the depths of those eyes. Why are you all so hurried? Or are you possibly afraid of something? Rosa, won't you at least tell me? Secretly, without telling the rest of the siblings. It's not like I...
Quit it, Aniki. All we're asking is whether you're going to sign or not. Just forget about making any straight deals or anything suspicious.
Oh? So I have no margin for negotiation. Do you claim that my position is so weak that we are not even in an even relationship? Shivers began to crawl up Rudolph's back. Ever since he was a child, he had never been able to overcome the height of the wall that separated him from his older brother. And now, again, he began to feel himself getting sucked in by it, and the long shadow it cast. Making sure that things are clicking. Shouldn't deals be made on even footing? To me, this deal is something to restore the long-lost trust of my younger siblings, of my younger brothers and sisters, and deepen the love we have between us siblings. It has been a cancer in my heart that I wish to resolve quickly. I am very happy that I am able to resolve it today. But you too would be very happy to see this deal quickly concluded, wouldn't you? Krause stared at each of the siblings. They avoided his gaze with animal-like instinct. Only Hideyoshi was slow avoiding it. So he was caught in Krause's gaze. Hideyoshi-nisana. I hear that your company has been going extremely well recently, hasn't it? You didn't hit any problems getting it listed as a stock, and both its performance and stock prices are constantly growing. I am truly jealous. My husband's situation surely has nothing to do with this. However, it is unfortunate that you have neglected your stockholders. It's also horrible that you were unable to solidify your base when you became stock listed. Before you realized it, some bad-natured fellows had brought up a considerable amount of your company's God damn it, your company's stock, hadn't they?
How could you know something like that?
I just dropped the accent. The same way as you. If you can collect evidence proving that no one would offer a loan to me, then I can collect evidence on you. Is it really that strange of a thing? Kraus grinned broadly. In contrast, Hideyoshi's face was turning obviously pale. Hideyoshi's company was a fast food chain operation company that he had started from nothing. Your company's called what? I know! Shut up! Through Hideyoshi's management efforts, performance of the business repeatedly rose and magnified, and ultimately it succeeded to becoming a stock-listed company. The greatest advantage of being in the stockholding system is that by selling stock certificates, a large amount of financing can be gained. That amount is far greater than the actual profits from the business. This made it an extremely effective way to gather massive funds needed to grow his company even further. However, in exchange for financing the company, the stockholders have certain rights. Namely, the right to observe and guide the company that they have financed in order to raise its profits above their investment. That right is guaranteed to all stockholders, and they sometimes even use it to reorganize ineffectual management. It is the right to prevent the money they have spent financing the company from going to waste by watching the management of the company. However, if they use this right forcibly, they can eject the former management and take over the company. Because the general body of all stockholders has the power to dismiss the management and nominate new management. That right is exercised in a majority decision by the stockholders. And people who hold more stock get to cast more votes. In other words, if some person or group holds a majority of the stock, they can freely chase out the old management and make the president anyone they would like. If they want, it is even possible for them to make themselves president. Many companies, in order to prevent their stock from being bought up by malicious people and their position from being threatened, take some kind of defensive measures, such as having their own employees or people close to them buy a lot of stock certificates in order to prevent the hostile group from securing the majority. Hey guys, I'm teaching you about Twitter and how Twitter got fucked. However, since Hideyoshi's company had only recently become stock-listed, they hadn't had the time to strengthen those defensive measures. No, maybe Hideyoshi himself was so engrossed in the management of his company that he hadn't realized the dangers of being stock-listed. It's hard to say whether he should be viewed as a kind-hearted and skilled manager immersed in management, or a foolish manager who had his feet swept out from under him. But in any case, there were people out there who would not let him get away with that naivety unscathed. They rapidly bought up Hideyoshi's company stock and instantly gained a significant amount of power. They then sent anonymous documents to stockholders and began to capture the majority. The documents read, "The current management continues to make pointless investments and is ignoring the needs of the stockholders. Let us force the current management to retire, cut the current wasted investments, and let this company be born again as one that gives more back to the shareholders." It is very difficult to make the actual state of a company's management known. They maliciously twisted the figures Hideyoshi had produced from a tiny small of sleep and a constant concern from his company, and made him lose the trust of his stockholders. Their efforts had almost collected a majority of the stock of the company. At that point, even Hideyoshi noticed and started to buy back the stock, but the stockholders, who realized that the company was undergoing an acquisition maneuver, demanded a ridiculous price for the shares that Hideyoshi was trying to buy back. They continually tortured Hideyoshi, who had no leeway in negotiation of the price. One of the certainties of capitalism is that value will rise when both parties vie for the same. And one of the certainties of democracy is that the majority controls everything. So in the end, whoever manages to buy up the most stock wins. So whoever has the most money wins. If Hideyoshi could obtain a large sum of money in this critical time, he would be able to avoid losing all of that which he had built up. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. He couldn't wait for the division of Kinzo's inheritance, which may not happen for some time. And you, Rudolph. You've been in a lot of trouble lately, haven't you? They say it's scary overseas, but it seems it's really true. American trails are settled quite emotionally. They won't give you a generous judgment to a foreigner,
Weren't you advised by your lawyer that making a settlement with the other party would be more economical in the end?
What is he talking about?
It's just troubles at work. It's no big deal. It'll be settled with money. Kirie quickly recognized what Rudolph's complicated expression meant. Her husband had gotten wrapped up in some kind of trouble without her knowledge, and had been suffering alone. That's right. In this world, anything can be settled with money. After all, it can even buy back the broken bonds between siblings. America is very fussy about the violation of rights. But with money, anything can be settled. Long live capitalism. Although, rumors abound that the settlement money may reach several $1 million. Rudolph had been building a large amount of wealth with a certain type of niche market. However, a niche is a niche. It's definitely not a sunny job. An American corporate giant was trying to accuse Rudolph's company of violating their rights. For various reasons, it was thought that winning the trial was extremely unlikely, and Rudolph was being pressed to surrender outright. But even so, there was a way to resolve it with money. If only he could pay back that money. Though it might be painful, he could still pick himself back up. But if he didn't pay, he'd lose everything. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. Rosa, you're a good and noble little sister. You wouldn't even touch a dangerous money game. However, your soft-hearted nature was your ruin, wasn't it? I wouldn't think one would agree to become a co-signer so lightly.
That has nothing to do with you, Krasny-san.
Rosa uncharacteristically laid bare her emotions and yelled, because she had thought she had kept it a secret. As Kraus watched, he let slip a muffled laugh. There was nothing to fear. Every one of them, more than anything else, wanted a lot of money right now. In other words, the situation had been reversed. Because only Kraus, who they were threatening, had no urgent need for a large sum of money. Compared to that, the three who were threatening him wanted money quickly, no matter what the cost. So the longer Kraus postponed this deal, the greater the advantage to him. Kraus was very sly. He had known of their Achilles' heel from the beginning. Even so, he had not been certain. Therefore, he had hidden that until the very end, and upon closely and completely examining their attitude, he had struck back. If I could, I would love to raise some money for my darling brothers and sisters in their time of need. But unfortunately, I have nothing on hand. If you have any sponsors in mind that can raise a whole 750 million, I suggest you try there first. Kraus's elated words were horribly blunt. The other siblings could do nothing more than listen, grinding their teeth. If they could think of a sponsor that convenient, they wouldn't have kept up the charade. They had entered this huge battle specifically because they had exhausted all other options. If you're still set on relying on your older brother, I could use my influence to find you sponsors. Oh wait, you already said that I have no influence. Well then, I can't do anything, can I? Yeah, pretty much it boils down to everyone needs money. All of these four little shitheads fucked up that battle, where they all need that 20 billion yen in gold. All of them. For one reason or another. And since Kraus is meant to inherit a large sum of money, they figured siphon it off of him immediately. Because if he's embezzling his father's money, then he gets nothing. But they still need money immediately. So this deal was to be like, we're not going to investigate if you embezzled dad's money if you pay us off now.
No waiting, now. But of course, Kraus doesn't have that money. And now he knows, because they're so desperate and needy, they needed that money, he can use it against them. Oh, if they need money, why not get a job? They're rich folks. You think they actually work that hard for their money? Kraus's low, gloating laugh began to fill the parlor. The younger siblings, who had, until now, been driving the oldest brother into a corner, could do nothing more than grimace and grind their teeth. Eva... Don't make me laugh. As if I would put myself in your debt. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh! If we relied on you, how would you help us? Would you like to join? Bryan's back.
I told you, didn't I? All I can do is find other sponsors for you. Of course, I will do my utmost to negotiate so that you can borrow the interest as well. Now I'm not really sitting right to do a good evil laugh. Damn you. Taking advantage of us?
Baby, please calm down.
I am calm. I'm extremely cool. You bastard.
Idiot grabbed her husband's hand. But that action made him feel even more pitiful, so Rudolph shook it off. Kraus laughed, as though seeing that made him extremely happy.
If only we truly could find Father's hidden gold at a time like this. Then I could split it up into 2.5 billion yen portions for you right away. How sad. How sad. How very sad. How extremely, totally, truly, hopelessly sad. Tonight, let us drink together as brothers and sisters and discuss the whereabouts of Father's hidden gold. Solve the riddle of Beatrice's epitaph together, why don't we? With 4 friendly siblings all together, there is surely no puzzle that can't be solved.
I love how everyone's like, yeah, he's being a prick right now. Like, they all ganged up on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he has every right to be a prick right now. All of them are little shitheads. All the 4 siblings and all of their spouses are little shitheads.
Like, nobody is in the right on this. They're all fuckheads.
So it's literally... We all wanted that dream of just all sitting in the gladiator arena, like in the audience, while rich folks fight each other.
Oh,
this is literally it. This is literally it. This is literally us watching rich folks beat on each other emotionally. We wish it was physically, with weapons and shit, but this is the metaphorical, verbal beatdown of rich folks against each other.
Or the Voldemort left. Yeah. How interesting. And what are the conditions that they attached?
Certainly. Whether or not Kraus-sama actually discovered the gold, he would pay Eva-sama, Rudolph-sama, and Rose-sama a total of 7.5 billion yen for their shares. However, 10% of that would be paid for before March.
Kraus, you dunce. That he would have his feet swept out from under him by his younger siblings. Truly amusing. But it seems they couldn't seal the deal.
Yes. Kraus-sama exposed that Eva-sama and the younger siblings all had an urgent need to get money.
So if he's given something that simple, he can see through it then. He can't even manage incompetence. What are they doing now?
That conversation has been put on hold for the time being. Now, Beatrice-sama's epitaph is being discussed.
So, they're trying to solve the riddle and find out where my gold is hidden? Well, it's simple. You put it in the One Piece.
Gotta go. Yes. Kinzo set his glass down and snorted. Fuck you. Right in my ear. Fuck you.
Will the miracle be fulfilled first? Or will those fools expose the gold first? What a sight to behold. If those fools solve my puzzle, at that time I would be completely defeated. They can suck my corpse down to the last fragment of bone. The magnitude of the fool's greed imbues my great magic with its miraculous potential. But if the fulfillment of the miracle comes first, if it comes first, Beatrice will be resurrected again. That smile which I have been chasing half my life will be restored.
Oh, Beatrice!
That sacred night when the miracle is wagered will come, and the devil's game will begin. I will definitely win, and will definitely remain alive. You can have the lives of the others. I don't need wealth or honor, or assets, or gold, or anything. I only want to see your smile one more time.
Kinzo choked, apparently in great pain. Kanon got closer and tried to pat his master's back, but Kinzo signaled that he didn't need to.
Do you know why I went to the trouble of exposing the hidden location of the gold just so that everyone could see it?
No.
It's because magical power is determined by risk. The greater the number of people who try to discover Beatrice's gold, the greater the danger of that happening. And assuming that the bid is successful despite those long odds, the magical power will bring about an even grander miracle. In other words, magic is the game. It is not true that the most superior person will become the winner. The winner becomes superior because he is granted magic. Thinking of JoJo again is like, do you understand? Just as a miracle of life is granted precisely because of a victory against divine odds of several 100 million to 1. Is this a little difficult for you to understand?
My apologies.
That's fine. It all comes down to this. A jewel containing the ultimate— wait a second.
Wrong one!
To the one that solves the mystery of Beatrice's epitaph, I will give all of that which I have built up. Wealth, honor, gold, and succession to the Ushiromiya family headship. Everything I have established. The right to tackle the riddle is not limited to my children. Even if it were you who succeeded in solving it, that would make you qualified to gain everything.
Yes. However, I couldn't possibly— fuck me. I couldn't possibly understand such a difficult riddle.
Of course. I made it difficult. But you must also challenge it. That will become the seed with which the miracle of my magic will be summoned. If everyone challenges it, everyone fails, that will be that. However, if the miracles are gathered and the magical power is born, it will happen then. Beatrice will revive. Therefore, you too must challenge it. All must challenge it. And in doing so, they must give strength to my magic. Do you understand?
Yeah. I will try. For a long while, Kinzo repeatedly muttered to himself, agitated and grabbing onto his head.
Which one?
Right? Kanon stayed where he was, alert and unmoving, until he was given the next order from his master. Kinzo finally realized this. That is all. Leave me now. There's a bag of sweets in the liquor cabinet. You can take some with you as a reward. I'm fine. After all, I am furniture. So furniture doesn't eat sweets. Indeed. In that case, leave me. As you ask. Please excuse me. Canon bowed and left the study. As the door was closed, a heavy lock noise resounded. But that was not the sound of Canon locking the door. It was the door locking automatically. No one could enter without Kinzo's permission, and once they left, they could not enter again. It was a mechanism that Kinzo, unable to trust his blood relatives, had created to lock himself up in his own study and isolate himself from the outside world. The only ones he could trust now were not the sons who shared his blood, but the servants who called themselves furniture.
Dr. Nanjo, is something the matter?
Ah, Genji-san. Oh, it's just I had no place in there anymore. With a bitter laugh, Nanjo turned to face the door to the parlor. It seemed that because of that motion, Genji understood what Nanjo wanted to say. For the most part, Genji also understood the family situation. It must have made him want to frown, knowing that right now in the parlor, the master he served was being discussed so disrespectfully. But it would have been very difficult to gather that from his indifferent expression. Still, it isn't clear to me. Why did Kinzo-san have something so provocative written, I wonder? Nanjo looked at the portrait of Beatrice. No, he actually directed his gaze beneath the portrait, at the plate with the epitaph.
I fail to understand the master's thoughts. I sense that they run very deep. For as long as I can remember, whenever Kinzo-san played chess, he would always make moves based on some far-sighted reading of the board. Yes, sometimes even moves that were incomprehensible. For an average person like me, it is impossible to see through whatever it is he's planning. I personally suspect this may be some kind of will from the master. He most likely intends to trust his assets to the family and headship whoever manages to comprehend it, hoping that the danger of some outsider like myself solving it would force the four siblings to work together to solve the riddle. It could be something like that, then. Kinzo may rudely disparage his children, but he might also be hoping that the siblings repair the relationship. If, as Nanjo said, this epitaph had been written to repair the relationship between the siblings, how heartwarming. However, Nanjo and Genji both knew that this was one thing that could never be the case. Here were the two which held the longest relationship with Kinzo, more trusted than his blood relatives, and even they could not guess at Kinzo's true motive. The master is always saying that the right to challenge the riddle is granted to everyone, whether they are a member of the family or not. How about you, Dr. Nanjo? No. It's a little too hard to understand for this senile old man. Actually, I wrote this epitaph down in my notebook at one point in time. Night after night, I would try to solve it before going to sleep, but it truly is hard. I believe it shall continue providing me enjoyment for the rest of my days. What about you, Genji-san? I am nothing more than furniture that serves the master. Gold and assets are useless to me. My, you are a humble person. That's probably why Kinzo-san trusts you so much. If so, I am honored. As Nanjo lightly laughed in response, he once again looked at the epitaph. Behold the sweet fish river, running through my beloved home of old. You seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. That which is written on the epitaph of the portrait of my beloved witch Beatrice is as follows. Alright guys, epitaph, pay attention. See if you can figure it out. Behold the sweet fish river, running through my beloved home of old. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. As you travel down it, you will see a village. In that village, look for the shore the two speak of. There the key to the golden land sleeps.
You who laid hand upon the key must journey as follows to the Golden Land. On the first twilight, sacrifice the 6 chosen by the key. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. On the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the fifth twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the sixth twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the seventh twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the eighth twilight, gouge the leg and kill. On the ninth twilight, the witch revives, and none shall be left alive. On the 10th twilight, the journey ends, and you shall reach the home of the gold. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all of the Golden Land's gold. One resurrects all the dead people's souls. One even revives all the love they possessed, and one for the witch to eternally rest. Rest in peace, my beloved witch, Beatrice. We'll be back after this commercial break.